Hey guys, my name's Zach Snow. I'm kind of going to use this first video as a little bit of an introduction video, if you want to call it that. I've been wanting to do something like this for a long time. I just wanted to show little stuff that I run into kind of, day to day, little projects, little issues, just whatever, whether it involves stuff on rifles, whether it involves reloading, load development, just little things. I mean, some of the stuff I'm running into, the first things I'm doing is going to YouTube or going to Google or whatever, and I'm seeing if someone else has done it. Even if I feel like I know how to do it, I like to go look at other people that have done it and see if there's a better idea. I'm just always trying to learn, always trying to be a student, and I really enjoy that. So I thought it would make sense. Some of this stuff that I run into, I'm just going to put it out there too, just in case anybody has the same issues. Cannot state this enough. I'm not a professional. I'm not a gunsmith. I'm not anything. So be very, very careful of anything you see. I'm not a professional, like I said, and nothing I'm doing is going to be anything crazy. It's just little stuff here and there. Like today, this is a 7 PRC. It's a Weatherby's 307 action, and it's the MeatEater edition. We mainly put together quote unquote custom rifles, if you want to air quote that, because basically I have somebody do the chambering, but I'll mount the barrel, I'll set the headspace, whatever needs to be done, I try to do down here. But anyways, we thought this would be the best route to go. I mean, it saves you a heck of a lot of money buying just a nice factory rifle like this versus building a at-home custom. So this is the route we went. I don't want to turn this into a review on the gun or anything like that just yet. I don't have enough time behind it. What I'm wanting to do today is, I should have started with this very first. I did make sure that this rifle's safe. There's nothing in the chamber, but just to be safe, so we're all clear. I'm gonna go ahead and pull the bolt, set the bolt aside, look down the tube. Yep, it is clear, and we'll go ahead and just pull the mag too, just to be safe. Just to be on the safe side. I wanna be able to put a pick rail up here for this, and I've also ran Swagger bipods in the past, and they have an attachment that goes to a pick rail, so it would work for me a lot better if this was a pick rail. I want to add a pick rail to this. I also want to add an Arca rail right here for the same reason, but just in case with how tall the grass is this year, I want to be able to put this on a tripod, and I don't want to have to use like a hog saddle or anything. I want to be able to lock it into an Arca rail and be rock solid. That's how I shoot a lot of thermal in the wintertime for coyotes, and that's how I mount my gun up on there. And man, it is rock solid. I have that 2 vets and the Arca system, it is rock solid. So that's what I want to do. Now, there's lots of videos on that. It's nothing complicated, but this rifle is a little bit different, and I can show you why. And that's why I'm making this video. Most rifles, the inside of the barrel inlet right here, and I'll get you guys in closer in a second, I'll show you this. It's normally a nice smooth bottom. This one is not. Basically the bottom of the stock is very thin, and it has ribs coming up to support it and stiffen it up. You can't exactly just drill a hole through it and put in a T-nut or however you want to do it, because those ribs are all in there. So what I'm going to try doing, I just have some Gorilla epoxy. We're going to kind of see how it goes. I'm going to level the stock all out, and we're going to just put a layer, whether it's a 1/4 inch or 1/2 inch or whatever, all throughout the bottom of the stock. But anyways, that's all we're going to do here today. We're going to see how this goes. I don't have my Arca rail yet. It's going to be a couple days, but I can at least get this epoxied, and we can see how mounting this pick rail goes. We'll grab our T25. Have already disassembled this, so these bolts aren't very tight anymore. Anyways, I was saying, this is a Remington 700 style action. So you've got your short bolt that goes to the front, your long bolt that goes to the rear. Here's what I was talking about, if you can get a good look in there. So in this stock, this bottom down between these ribs is really thin. Like I don't feel like there's enough material there to get a T-nut into. And obviously, even if you could get a T-nut into it, you'd be drilling a hole through the bottom. Say if you're gonna mount, I'm doing a 4 1/4 inch Arca rail, so it'll roughly be like this, which means your bolt's gonna have to go somewhere in here. So if we flip it over, that's gonna put us right in this first gap. but that ridge is right in the way. And I don't want to just go dremeling that out of there with nothing, even if it was thick enough, because it'll take away a lot of rigidity away out of this forend. Let's use this. We're gonna take these sling swivel studs out. And these are just like wood screw style. They don't have a T-nut in them already, but as you can see, they're just wood screw style. Here's the pick rail we're gonna put, and it does line up with the holes. So it'll end up going just like that, if you can see. Let's get this set up in the gun vise. I do have a level down here somewhere. We'll get it leveled, and we'll get this scuffed up, and we'll mix up some epoxy. And I know some people are gonna say, you're already mixing epoxy, why don't you just bed the stock? I don't disagree. I would like to go ahead and do that. But to be honest, as good as this thing shoots right now, and how close we are to deer season, I just don't feel like taking on that project right this moment. If it wasn't shooting good, I would be concerned, but it's shooting pretty awesome. So I think we're just gonna let it go how it is. Here we go. Here's our first little bit, and this is gonna be very difficult to get this in here right. Okay, I'm gonna let you guys go for a second. Here, I'll give you a little show of what it's looking like so far. Sorry, the lighting's not very good. And there we go. That's actually working pretty well. I'm a little low right here on this side. That's no big deal. I'll add some to it. I'm gonna let you guys go. Once I get this thing full, I'll show you how it's going. Okay. That actually went pretty well. I did run into a little issue that I didn't think about until I made it to here. But I wasn't gonna fill these plumb full because I thought it would take way too much epoxy, but I did this one and this one on both sides in one tube. So, I mean, it filled all that whole thing. So I was kind of like, well, okay, let's just fill the whole thing. I didn't think about this back one. I couldn't fill it because of the recoil lug goes right here. So I don't want any getting up in here. So it's only got like a 1/4 inch, which shouldn't matter. But no, that went pretty well. It leveled up really nice. I mean, it's almost exactly flush with those ridges. I think that's going to work very well. So yeah, let's let this set up. By the way, I should have mentioned, I don't have this clamped hardly at all. It's like just enough. This is touching it basically. I didn't want to clamp it tight because I would have changed the dimensions basically of my forend, and I did not want to do that. So this clamp right here is pretty much completely loose. I've got it all torqued down with that one. It's the only thing holding this up. So yeah, let's let this cure and see what happens. Okay, it's been about 30 minutes. I can show you this real quick. This is at least dry enough to touch now. Actually turned out really good. So I did decide we're gonna go ahead and punch these holes out and go to a T-nut setup. So this is a 15/64 hole that this needs to be. So I've got a drill bit, and I've also got a spade bit. Being that I filled this with epoxy so full, I'm gonna go ahead and just spade bit out just a little bit of a recess so that it'll sit down just a little bit and it doesn't raise up. I think we have plenty of room in here, but we're gonna go ahead and do it anyway, just to be safe. Let me get this all set up and we will punch these holes out. Okay. Like I said, I don't think the painter's tape was necessary, but just in case, let's go ahead and do it. Go ahead and do the other one while we got it right here. We're gonna go ever so slowly. This is gonna be hard to do with the phone right here. I'm going very slow because that epoxy is still a little soft. Honestly, it would probably work better to wait just a little bit longer than this, but I think I can make this work. We're very close. We need just a little bit more. That does not look too bad. More on this one side. I kind of had the drill at an angle, I think. There you go. And this is I wouldn't go off my sizes because these T-nuts are a little different size than some of the forms and stuff I've seen. This is a 3/4 inch spade bit is what it's taken to do these. Make sure none of those tongues, or whatever you want to call them, are on the pillars. There we go. And being this is going into this epoxy, there we go. That actually worked really good with that epoxy still being soft. It pressed right in there with my fingers. Now when that epoxy finishes curing, look at that. That's perfect. There's no ridge there. It's actually under these old pieces just by a little bit. I'll get these crumbs out of there. I'll do the same thing to this one, and then we'll just barely snug. I don't want to go crazy being that epoxy's so soft, but we'll put the pick rail on the bottom and we'll just barely snug it up, just so it's at least pulling on this just a little bit. And honestly, if we were worried about it, we could take a little more epoxy and dab around these edges, and I may even just do that just to be safe. Take a little epoxy, put it around these edges, and just kind of seal it in with all the rest of that epoxy. But we'll see. Let's get it snugged down with the pick rail first and see how we're liking it. This one's going to take just a little more force. I might be right on the edge of one of those pillars. Could be some of the issue too. I'll go grab a hammer and a punch, and I'm just going to tap that down ever so slightly. Okay, I got a hammer and a punch, and I just very lightly tapped that down. And there we go. It's nice. It's just barely under these old ridges, so we know there's not going to be any contact with the barrel. Yeah, that's pretty slick. We're just seating those T-nuts into that epoxy a little better. There we go. Not going to crank them. Like I said, just seating them, holding pressure while this epoxy finishes curing. See there? We got a pick rail. That worked out pretty slick. I'm definitely pleased. If you guys have any questions, just put them in the comments. Like I said, this isn't a professional job. You know, I'm not a professional. This is a real world, do it at home, do it yourself, you know, in a pinch to get your rifle set up the way you want. But there we go. Look at that. That's pretty cool. Alrighty, guys. As you can see, I'm going to call that a success. That's exactly what we were wanting. And that wasn't bad. The only thing else I'm going to do, I'm going to remount my barreled action. And I noticed when I was sighting this in, the barrel wasn't quite floating about right in here. And so I'll put the barreled action back in here now that we've messed with it, and I'll kind of refigure that and see where it's touching. And I'm just barely gonna, I mean, I'm talking like you could fit a $1 bill between it, but it was just, you could feel it touching. So I'm just gonna take some sandpaper and rough this up and kind of take a little bit of material off so that's not touching. But past that, as soon as we get that Arca rail and we install our one more T-nut, this thing's gonna be ready to go. So, well, there we go, guys. We got a pick rail mounted on this. I do think that method actually worked pretty well. If you've got this rifle or one with a stock that's similar with those ribs in it, I think I'd recommend that. That actually worked pretty slick and it was pretty easy to do. Like I said, a couple more days, hopefully my Arca rail will be here. I'll get that mounted on, but honestly I'm going to do it the exact same process. So I don't think I'll even show you guys that. I'm going to do the same thing I did up here. But yeah, I will, I'm probably just going to shoot factory ammo through this for this season. After that, after I get some of these factory rounds burned up, I will start on some load development in the future. Let me know what kind of videos you guys want to see. If you've got questions, projects you're working on, or just something you're nervous to do or have questions about doing. Like I said, I am no expert. I can't reiterate that enough. But it just seems like I'm always tinkering with something, always running into not problems, but just projects, things I want to try, things I want to do. But for the future of this channel, I'm not going to do any sort of upload schedule. Just as I reload or as I put together again or just whatever, as interesting things happen, I'll make videos on them as they go. But there's not going to be any sort of schedule. But I know I will get into putting some rifles together, doing some load development, my process there. If anybody cares about that, I'm happy to share it. Like I said, that's my biggest thing with starting this channel is I just want to get involved in this community. I want to learn, I want to talk to knowledgeable people. Like I said, anything I can learn or anything I can help someone learn, I'm all for that. So anyways, that's kind of what the future holds. Thank you guys. Subscribe, leave a like, and if, like I said, you got any questions or just even thoughts of a better way, like I said, I'm open, I'm all ears. So leave a comment, and thank you guys.